Greetings all. Now we are going to see the topic of the standard precaution. Definition: standard precaution are the set of infection control practices used to prevent the transmission of the disease from one guy to another guy that can be occurred by contact, blood and body fluids, non-intact skin and mucous membrane. Treat all the blood and body fluids and other materials as they are infected material. Components of the standard precautions are hand hygiene, use of personal protective equipment, biomedical waste management, discard shops in a shop container, use aseptic technique, use sterile equipment, clean and reprocessable equipments, clean and disinfection environment and surfaces. First and most important component in the standard precaution is the hand hygiene. So hand hygiene is consist of hand washing and hand rubbing. Hand washing, you have to take a time of 1 full minute for doing a proper hand washing. So hand rubbing, you have to spend 30 seconds. According to the WHO, we have 6 steps of hand washing and 5 moments of hand hygiene moments. And now I am just demonstrating 6 steps of hand washing, which is applicable for hand washing as well as hand rubbing. So this is the 6 steps, and each steps to be a 5 sequence. 2. Take adequate amount of the hand sanitizer, apply all over the hand and start the procedure. Palm to palm, right over the left dorsum, left over the right dorsum, interlacing, interlocking, vice versa. Rotate the thumb, vice versa, and concentrate on the center of the palm with the tip of the finger on both sides. As per WHO, 5 moments of hand hygiene to be ensured before patient contact, before sterile or clean procedure, after a patient contact, after the patient environment, and after the blood and body fluid exposure. The essential component is use of personal protective equipment when there is a risk of the exposure with blood and body fluids. Biomedical waste management. So all biomedical waste have segregated, sourced, handled with a proper manner. We have to discard it, and we are having a facility to storage the waste temporarily, and we are sending out to the GJ multiclave for the treating of the biomedical waste. So waste will be considered as like a biomedical waste and general waste. So we have a different color codes like plastic, non-plastic, shop and puncture proof. So here you can see the different colors and what are the waste where we have to discard like that. In yellow, we have to discard all kind of non-plastics items, human and anatomical waste, blood and body fluid contaminated waste, and finally it will reach to the incineration. And in red color cover, we have to discard all kind of plastics and rubber root materials which is generated from the patient care site. And finally it will go to the reprocessable thing. And in the blue color, we have to discard broken and unbroken glasses as well as the implants which is used and generated from the patient care side. And in the white color puncture proof container, we have to discard all kind of shops. Use sharp containers to dispose the shops. So after using the shop, immediately you have to discard into the sharp container. So we have to follow the do's and don'ts while discarding the shops and handling the shops. So essentially, if we want to recap, we have to follow a recap technique like one hand technique, scoop technique or single hand technique. Aseptic technique. So aseptic technique is always helps to prevent the cross contamination. So while handling the sterile equipment, while being with the sterile environment is always help to protect the patient from the environmental contamination. So safe injection practices, we have to follow a 1 syringe, 1 needle and 1 time for 1 patient. Sterile equipments. So in our hospital, we have a centralized department in 3rd floor to do the sterilization activities. So here we have facilitated with 2 different kind of autoclavers. One is ETO, ethylene trioxide, and another one is steam sterilization. So those 2 areas we used to take care to sterilize the patient care equipments. So non-plastics items will go for the autoclave techniques and plastics items will go for the ETO techniques. Clean and disinfect environment. So cleaning and disinfection of the environment is one of the most essential part in the standard precaution. So we have to use the appropriate cleaning and disinfective agent for the critical and non-critical areas. For the critical areas, we used to use R82 is a component of the ammonium chloride, so which is used to kill the environmental microorganisms. So according to the references, we are just prepare the solution and use to clean the environment. Prevention and handling of the contaminated exposure is essential part in the standard precaution. So blood and body fluid splash is one of the important thing. Then blood and body fluid exposure, you have to report immediately. Sharp injury, the main thing is we have to prevent the sharp injury. Such a kind of thing we have following things like never squeeze the exposed part, should not suck, and do the proper hand washing with the exposed part, and report to the concerned department in charge and HIC nurse, and report to the ER within 20 minutes for the follow-up process. Post-exposure prophylaxis always which is depend on the source status. So immediately after reporting, we will be find the source status, the scenario behind the NSI reporting, and we will be find if the source is positive for HIV. So this is the follow-up prophylaxis will be start for the exposed staff. And hepatitis B, source is positive, we have to find the staff vaccination details. If the titer is normal, according to that we will be plan the prophylaxis of hepatitis B positive virus. Spillage management, it's one of the important component. We have to follow appropriate spillage management. So we have to find in our departmental where the spillage kit is available, and we have to create a garden to prevent the exposure of somebody else, and techniques to be followed to manage the spillage. Use appropriate PPE, place the absorbent material on the spill, prepare the disinfection, apply on the spilled area, wait for 20 minutes contact time, and clean up the spill and then discard appropriately.